so that's recording.
Yeah.
So hi Jenny. So we've got Jenny with us from Dog Star Therapy. Jenny is a veterinary veterinary physio and canine massage therapist.
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
So tell us a bit about you, Jenny.
I work with dogs. I have a background in human sports and teaching. So when I left university, I was a chemistry teacher and a rowing coach. So I've spent a lot of time working with junior athletes. I used to be a cox. I'm small and noisy. So I've coxed at an elite level. So I've been involved in human sports and rowing and strength and conditioning for a long time. I had a very wonky dog about 12, 13 years ago. She had severe hip dysplasia. So I did a course in canine massage to try and help her feel more comfortable because she was diagnosed with her severe hip dysplasia at 18 months old. So I did the canine massage course to help her feel more comfortable. I ended up treating my dogs, friends' dogs, and then friends of friends' dogs, and it gradually grew.
Grows.
But I need to know more about this. I need to know more about anatomy, more about how it's all put together, and more about how I can help dogs with more skills. So I've then done the veterinary physiotherapy course, and I work as a veterinary physiotherapist, treating a lot of older dogs with orthopedic conditions like hip dysplasia, like elbow dysplasia or arthritis in the wrist. And I also work a lot with sports dogs. So I do agility with my dogs, and I work a lot with other agility dogs, sheep dogs, obedience dogs. So with a lot of working dogs, I work on strength and conditioning. So I've managed to combine my history of sports coaching and strength and conditioning work with junior athletes in particular, with the work that I do with the dogs. So I help clients create training programs and exercises to target different areas of the body, either because they've got a slight imbalance there. None of us are symmetrical and dogs aren't either. So I use the exercises to help them become more balanced and have a better way of moving, which then helps prevent injury and also helps to improve their performance at their sport.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So what breed was your first dog? Was she a collie?
Yeah, border collie. I love all dogs, but
yeah.
I do have a special soft spot for border collies.
Bless you. And you've got Hudson and you've got another dog, haven't you?
Yeah, so Hudson's chilling out there. He's done his workout this morning. And Mac, yeah. So I've got 2 border collies at the moment. We might be having an addition to the family in the next few weeks.
Oh, exciting. Fingers crossed with everything going on.
Very exciting, yeah.
So was your first collie, was she an agility dog as well?
No. Well, we started.
And is that when you realised she was wonky?
Yeah, so with dogs you tend to start doing some foundation work when they're relatively young, but you wouldn't actually start doing any jumping over any obstacles until they're about 12, 13 months old. So we'd started doing the foundation stuff, and at 18 months old I'd noticed that she wasn't sitting straight. She was sitting like a sack of potatoes. When she went up the stairs, she didn't move her back legs independently. As she went up the stairs, she bounced up with both legs. So we that's often called bunny hopping. So she bunny hopped up the stairs. And I knew something wasn't right, so we stopped the agility there. She was only jumping that high at that point, so the agility didn't cause the issue. Her little sister, I found out later, also had hip dysplasia, so it was a genetic thing.
Interesting.
And yeah, that was the end of her agility career. So
yeah. You've got to do what's right for your dog, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Do you find it with I know your special spot is for your border collies, but do you find a lot of the bigger agility dogs tend to have more movement issues because of the impact of them jumping higher, being bigger dogs, all of that, or does it tend to just vary across the board?
I think it's constant across the board. So I don't think agility dogs have more problems than any other type of dog. I think what happens is the agility owners are better at spotting it, because if you're asking a dog to jump over a thing, then any issues or niggles that they might have are more noticeable than if you're not asking your dog to jump over a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So agility dogs don't get more injuries as such, but I think the owners are better at spotting it, because if you're asking your dog to do a task and they struggle physically, you're much more likely to notice than if the dog is going for a walk in the park.
Yeah, definitely. So is it normally a gait sort of thing that you would see in just sort of a pet dog with people walking it? Is it, what are the common problems you tend to have?
So what happens with dogs is if they've got an injury or they're a little bit uncomfortable, then they will change some of their behaviours. So it might be that they're less happy to go out for a walk. Mm-hmm. It might be that they used to jump on the sofa in the evening and now they don't. It might be they used to be happy to jump in and out the car and now they're not. It might be that they were happy to have their back end brushed. I mean, you must see this as a groomer. Yeah. It might be that they were happy to have their back end brushed and now they're not. So some dogs just don't like having their back end brushed, and if they've never liked it,
it's the chances they never will.
They just don't like it. But what I'm looking for as a vet physio is changes in behaviour. So was the dog happy doing something, and are they now not? So when it's muddy and you're cleaning their paws when you get in from a walk, if they were happy to lift all four legs, obviously not all at the same time because that would end badly.
Some of them end up on their backs.
Exactly. If they were happy to lift all their legs to have you wipe them, and they're not now happy for you to lift up their front left leg, then that should give you a bit of a warning sign that there is something that they're not comfortable about. Obviously, if issues carry on, then dogs will be noticeably lame. So you might see them bob their head as it's actually when the sound leg hits the ground is when they tend to do the head bob. So you might see a head bob. Sometimes with boy dogs, if they've got a problem with one back leg or the other, you might notice that when they cock their legs, they always cock the same leg. So it could be that they've got an issue in the legs that they cock. I'm not sure. I keep saying the word cock.
That's fine. Back away.
You might notice that they've got an issue in the leg that they cock because they don't want to weight bear on it. So they will always lift that leg and weight bear on the more comfortable leg. So sometimes you see dogs who are walking and they really need to have a pee on a particular lamppost, and they're turning from one side to the other to try and work out, how can I pee up that lamppost and leave my text message for the next dog and not put weight through the leg that's a little bit uncomfortable. So it's changes in behaviour that let you know that the dog's a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I see it with Paddy, my little Patterdale. When he gets sore, he when you're stroking him, he'll wrinkle up, like his back starts to go, and he gets a bit. And I think, like, when I'm scratching him, and he's got a bit of spondylosis in his spine anyway, so he's a bit dippy. And he's getting old, bless him now. But I think he's definitely due something again. You can just start to see the little differences, can't you?
So what you've described is some people say it looks like electrified skin. So when you scratch it or rub down their back, the skin kind of vibrates. So the posh names are vesiculation. So I
won't remember that.
Just don't ask me how to spell it. No. So if you rub them down their back and the skin kind of vibrates or looks like electrified skin, that's called a vesiculation, and that can happen because they've got a knot or a trigger point somewhere where they tend to occur where all the muscles overlap and join on and attach to the bony bits. So vesiculations are really helpful for me to identify where there might be an issue.
Interesting. So how does your vet physio side of things differ to the canine massage?
So as a canine massage therapist, I could do canine massage, and the course that I did is very well thought of and is rigorous. The difference between the veterinary physiotherapy is that I've got more tools in my toolkit. So as a veterinary physiotherapist, I can do laser, ultrasound, and use a biomag unit. So I've got electrotherapies that I'm qualified to use. I can also use exercise prescription, so I can use functional movements like sit to stand and down to stand. And I don't know if you can see on the floor, Hudson's been doing his exercises this morning. So I can use different tools to do exercise prescription in the same way that a human physio, if you've got a lower back issue, a human physio will give you exercises to do to strengthen your core, to help support the structures in your lower back. So as a physio, I can do all of that, which helps to engage the muscles in the correct way and build muscle to a correct imbalance to try and support the physical structures. So nothing is magic. If a dog has hip dysplasia, I can't magic away the hip dysplasia. Mm-hmm. But what I can do is a dog with hip dysplasia will end up tight in the lower back area here. So I can use the laser to help relax the muscles. I can use the laser to help encourage or increase the blood flow in the area to help them feel more comfortable. Mm-hmm. I can then use massage to help relax some of the tight muscles around that structure, the hip joint. Yeah. I can then use my exercise prescription to help increase the muscle mass around that area to help support the area. So if a dog has hip dysplasia, the hip joint is a ball and socket joint. So what should happen is the head of the femur, which is the ball, should fit nice and neatly into the socket, so the acetabulum. So what happens with dogs that have hip dysplasia is either the cup is a bit rubbish, or the ball is a bit rubbish, or some of them, it's all a bit rubbish. So what happens is, instead of the ball being tightly locked into the joint like this, what happens is there's a bit of movement. And with that rubbing that you get, that's what causes the discomfort for the dogs. Mm-hmm. So there are surgery options where they can give you a hip replacement. So they can give you a fake ball and a fake cup. If you have a fake ball and a fake cup, it's got no nerve endings in it and it's not painful. The surgery itself is obviously
the recovery period and everything.
Yeah, you've got the recovery period. So the surgery is not an easy option. But for some dogs, it can be really successful and really helpful. But what I can do as a vet physio is I can help strengthen up the muscles around this ball and socket. So if it has got too much movement, I can use the muscles to help tighten it and keep it sort of more supported with, yeah, exactly, supported within the joint so that there's less movement.
And do you find that once you get that support there, the joint doesn't deteriorate as quickly?
Yes.
So a dog that would have regular vet physio would be stronger going forwards than the dog that was perhaps not having that extra strength around that joint, and he would perhaps need then an operation.
What tends to happen is that we can keep them off the medication for longer, so mm-hmm. they can have better quality of life for longer. Hydrotherapy and underwater treadmill are also really helpful tools for increasing the muscle mass around the joint for the dogs with conditions like hip dysplasia. So if a dog has hip dysplasia, I can't stop them getting arthritis as they get older, but I can push back the points, when they might need to start medication or when you might need to start moderating the exercise. So if it would have happened at 8 with an owner who's really proactive and helps their dog and does the exercises, we might push it back to 9 or 10.
It does make
so it buys them time and it buys them quality of life. Mm-hmm. Having said that, my Gwen, who started me off on this journey, at the end of her life, she was on a lot of medication, and that was alongside the hydrotherapy and the physiotherapy and the massage and everything else. She still ended up being on that medication because it helped her be pain-free and have a good quality of life.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because dogs are so stoic and don't always show us that they're in pain, but we have a dog that comes to us for grooming, and when he first came to us, he was really aggressive. We had to muzzle him, like he was just not a happy boy at all. And we do try and stay away from muzzling, but he was biting and he meant it. And we were like, right, for the sake of us and him, he needs to be muzzled. Yeah. Whilst we do his back legs. And he had done both of his cruciates. Is
Yeah.
that right? Do dogs have cruciates? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
I was thinking, I'm sure they do. He'd done
they
both
do.
his cruciates in his back legs, and even now his like back legs like knocking together. But he's had both of them done, and the difference in
Yeah.
behaviour, his attitude, how comfortable he is on the table. Like he will still like, he's really funny. He'll try and like snap at the air coming out the blaster, but it's not malicious at all. And like his
Yeah.
mum said the other day, because before all this shut down, we were distancing ourselves from our clients anyway, and his mum went to unclip him and went, oh, wait till you're in the a bit closer to the salon. She went, no, it's fine, he'll come in anyway because he loves it. And he did. He just trotted straight in, got
Oh,
in the
bless
back.
him.
And it's such a difference, isn't it, that they don't
Yeah.
always show that they're in pain.
No, they don't. But the same as us. If if I'm in pain, I'm more grumpy. I'm less tolerant. If I've got a headache, I'm less tolerant. I am much more likely to be grumpy, and much more likely to snap at my husband. I've never been yet, though.
Well, that's all right then. That's perfect. Just don't bite your husband. That's so
So, they're no different to us. If they are uncomfortable, it will increase their grumpiness, and often if you can do surgery if that's appropriate, or give them medication if that's appropriate, or increase their physical strength if that's appropriate. So whatever is appropriate for your dog, if you can put those measures in, it can often improve their temperament.
And like you were saying with the changes of like if you're wiping their paws and they don't want to pick one up, I think with the changes in their temperament as well and their behaviour, I think some people go, oh, all of a sudden my dog started doing this when I touched their back end or something. Like you say, it can perhaps be an indication. And you see, particularly with grooming as well, you see dogs stood on the table sometimes and you think, they don't look very happy about that. And even so much as it could be an anal gland issue. Like clamped tails and
humans don't have anal glands, but I'm fairly sure it can't be comfortable to have a full anal gland.
Definitely not. Definitely
I'm fairly sure that would make me grumpy, and unless I can have someone brushing my back end. So it's interesting you say about seeing the dog standing. Quite often I will have owners say, they're really lazy when we go on a walk. If I ever stop in a chat with someone, she lies down. So one of the other changes in behaviour is if you're stood and the dog can't stand still, so you get this front feet paddling or fidgeting, that is often an indicator that they're a little bit uncomfortable. Or the dogs that fidget with their back legs the whole time, that can often be an indication. If you stop for a short period of time, do they sit or do they lie down? If they find it difficult to sit or to stand for a prolonged period of time, that can often be an indicator that they've got discomfort through one of their joints.
Okay, interesting. See, I don't know. No one comes near me with 2 German Shepherds. No one talks to me. It's brilliant. I'm like, stay away. Don't come anywhere near me, thanks.
Hudson's a big fan of social distancing as well. So.
Outside, yes. In the house, my dogs have no idea what social distancing is. Like, they'll sit on you. Like, I've been sat in my office this morning doing some bits, and Cody's just come and like sat between my feet, like head on my feet. I was like, oh, I can't move now. That's it. Do you find that certain breeds are more prone? So, like we're seeing in the salon a real population of dachshunds. And we've also seen a few that have had a few issues. Do you tend to see that across breeds, or like with German Shepherds with bad back legs? Is that something that you see breed to breed? Yeah,
so different breeds will have conditions that they are predisposed to have. So one of the things with the dachshunds is that they will often have issues with their vertebra in their lower back. So dachshunds can have a thing called intervertebral disc disease. People think it's because dachshunds have got a long back. It's not. It's actually because they've got short legs. So there's a gene which is associated with the short legs, which also causes the intervertebral disc disease issues. So it's not the length of the back, it's actually the shortness of the legs. And there are other breeds that have the short legs, which are also more inclined to have the disc issues. But with good breeding and finding a good breeder, there are dachshunds out there that are healthy and happy and structurally well put together. So just because you've got a breed doesn't mean it's a foregone conclusion that they will have this condition or that condition. So with the terriers, a lot of terriers will do a terrier hop or a terrier skip, and sometimes they'll shake their back leg, and that's because, sorry, I have to do impressions.
That's fine.
And that's because in their one of the reasons is because in their knee, so in their stifle, they have there's a muscle that goes down the front of your leg, called your quadriceps, and in that muscle is the patella or the kneecap. So that the patella sits in that muscle and it attaches just below the knee joint or the stifle. What happens is on a terrier, because everything is smaller, so it's not just terriers that get this, the miniature poodles also are more prone to it. So any dog which is small, there's a groove which is on the knee, on the stifle, called the trochlear groove. Mm-hmm. And what happens is on a small dog, everything is smaller, so the trochlear groove is smaller. So what can happen is the quadricep muscle, which has got the patella in it can slip off to the side.
Yeah.
So that's called luxating, which means moving patella, which is the kneecap bone. It's the name of the kneecap bone. So luxating patella is a thing that small dogs will often have, and it's because that trochlear groove is smaller, so it's more likely to slip off. But there are lots and lots of Jack Russells who are perfectly sound, perfectly well put together, and perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. So just because you have a Jack Russell doesn't mean they will automatically have luxating patella and have a skip.
Fab. So that emphasises the importance of choosing a responsible breeder,
massively,
health tests.
Yeah,
I think that's huge, and avoiding puppy farms and buying online.
Massively, yeah, definitely.
Well, obviously you agree with that, but it does. I mean, obviously, any good breeder and good litter can perhaps have one that isn't, but then that's
you know, there are no guarantees with biology that everything's going to go 100% perfect every time. That's just not realistic. But a good breeder, I would expect a breeder to give me a hard time. Mm-hmm. If I'm asking for a puppy, I would expect them to want to know what my lifestyle was like, what attention I would be giving the puppy, what my experience was. It doesn't mean that, you know, everyone's going to have their first dog at some point. So it doesn't mean that you're in, you know, I wouldn't expect all breeders to want their owners to be experts. But have you thought about where your vet's going to be? Have you thought about puppy classes that are going to take the dog to? I would want a breeder to give me a hard time if I was asking for a puppy. If the breeder doesn't give you a hard time, mm-hmm. I would walk away. And equally, I would want to see the mum definitely in and around where the puppies are. You might not always see the dad, but I would expect them to be able to tell me about the dad and give me information about the dad and show me health tests for both parents. Yeah,
and also for me, if they're happy to take the dog back, if you have any issues at all, the breeder will go, I'll have that dog back 100%. I'll have the dog back. And if your breeder's not prepared to do that, especially if it is your first dog and you don't quite know what you're getting yourself in for.
Every dog, I think we forget about how challenging puppies can be.
Oh god, yeah. Absolutely. Like when I got Prim from the Dogs Trust, she was 16 weeks. Have you met Prim? Have you met her?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, she was in the salon, wasn't she? I got her at 16 weeks and I was like, oh, awesome. But then I forgot that whole 8 to 16 weeks of socialization she didn't have. She had nothing. So I started from scratch. I said to Jo at the time, I can't believe how hard this is. This is way harder than I ever thought it would be. It's so long since I had a puppy. And even now I look at her and I think, oh, you're so challenging. She has a very strong personality.
I think each one has new challenges. So each dog I have, I make fresh new mistakes with each dog I have.
And when I got her, I was like, right, she's going to be really good at her agility. She's going to love it. I'm going to learn from all the mistakes I made with Cody, and she's going to learn to do this, that, and the other. Well, seeing her with the dogs, I was like, she's never doing agility, not a chance. So we started doing a few trick training and stuff with her, and she's really engaged. But there's certain things that I think, no, there's a reason why she's not doing agility, and that's it. There's just no point. It would be like taking her to a rave. She'd have the best time, but she wouldn't be concentrating.
Bless her.
I know. So, in self-isolation, like everyone is at the minute, all locked down, could you give us like a few tips of what people could do with their dogs in terms of, is there any little exercises you could suggest, or any?
Yeah, so I can give you a few things to do, but it really massively depends on your dog. So what's appropriate for one dog might not be appropriate for another dog. So Hudson's done lots of strength and conditioning stuff, so he is able to do a lot of different things. But there are a couple of exercises which everybody should be able to do. So one of the things I like dogs to be able to do is to sit neatly. So when I say sit neatly, I mean sit with their knees aligned with their feet and tucked in nicely. So not with one knee sticking out to the side and not slumped over to one side. So to help with a neat sit, there are some exercises that you can do. So if I just move you, and then I shall use Hudson to help me show you. Excuse the mess. I've been
Fine, don't worry.
I've been sending videos to clients this morning because everyone's under house arrest.
Everyone's going online, aren't they?
Yeah, so all my clients have had home exercises to do.
Brilliant.
So what I would do to help teach them a neat sit is, this is completely stolen from obedience. So if you've done any obedience, you may well have seen this before. So I've got a handful of treats, and I'm going to chuck a treat away so that he moves away. My feet are acting as a physical guide. So I'm not pinning the dog in with my feet. They're just acting as a physical guide to ask him to sit nice and neatly. So I can chuck a treat away. And then can you see how he's adjusting himself? Oh, yeah. Sorry, dude. Can you see how he's adjusting himself and he's sitting nice and neatly? So his knees are directly underneath or directly above his toes.
Yeah.
He should be sitting nice and evenly. Okay, and he's sitting up nice and straight. So what that's doing is it's giving him good, it's setting him up for good biomechanics. So if I want to move that on and get him doing a sit to stand, can you see he's sitting nice and neatly there?
Yep.
And if I ask him to stand, he's pushing up with his back legs.
Yep.
So sit to stand is a really good exercise. So if you think about a human doing squats, sit to stand is pretty much the doggy version of doing squats. So he's pushing up with his back legs.
Yep. Oh, look at it.
And that's going to help make his back legs stronger. So
I love the fact that you left your treats on the floor in a jar and he's not knocked them over. My dogs would be all over that. They'd be like, give me the treats.
He's a good boy. He knows what to do. He knows he's going to get more treats.
He is such a sweetie. Fab.
Okay.
Oh, look at him.
Yes.
Brilliant. So that's something that people can work on at home whilst they're in house arrest.
Yeah. So there are lots of little exercises you can do.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
And we shall see you soon. Oh,
yeah,
hang on, wait. If people want to know about your services, where can they go?
So I've got a website, which is dogstartherapy.co.uk. So you can check it out on there, or I'm on Facebook as well.
Brilliant. All right then. Thank you very much. That's really interesting. We shall see you soon.
Brilliant. Nice to talk to you. Take care.
Bye.